I'm literally getting blown away now. Good morning.
So I've got a cracking sunrise and Jade's got a storm.
Yeah, I've got and it's literally just picked up fully. So I could be jumping in the back of the van in a minute.
Nice. The good news is we know how that works.
So let me know if my mic's too windy.
No, it's technology's actually doing quite well in the midst of the storm. So
it's hiding in the van, unlike me. Beautiful.
The perfect storm, eh?
The perfect storm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm going to try and basically stay out of the picture because it's looking pretty amazing today.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I've got nothing for you right now, I don't think, unless hopefully the storm just takes off and let me see if I can straighten the horizon for you. That'd be good too. With you guys.
Well, there's still a storm there, so
yeah. Awesome. Sorry, Kyle.
How are you today?
I'm good. Don't have the motion that I had yesterday.
Nice. So hopefully over the ketosis sickness and into feeling good and burning fat.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, look at your sunrise. Yes, it was just momentary pain, but I was going, please be ketosis sickness because that's good for me. I'd be stoked with that.
And even better if you don't get it.
Yeah, well, even better. I haven't had it really before, and I don't know. Because I knew I usually eat wild fit. I didn't think that I would end up going through ketosis sickness because it's not because I wasn't cutting out a lot. But that's what we're going to put it down to. Good morning, everyone that's watching. So what's our lessons for today, Kyle?
Well, I think it's a really good one, the whole ketosis sickness, where we spoke about fear last week, and where fear is where the growth comes from, and but we've also got to understand, I think, that there's always pain in all the good stuff. There's a little bit of pain that we've got to go through, and that's a good example there, where our body makes us sick or makes us feel sick as we actually fix it.
Yeah. Steve's nodding.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really glad this morning that I'm sore. Like I'm sore because I was doing prisoners of war yesterday and my squat jumps and bicycle pedals for my stomach, and I got up this morning. I was like, "Ooh, I worked yesterday. I'm glad I worked yesterday," and I think it kind of comes into Stephen's part about the grit, right? And embracing the pain and learning how to be gritty. Because we could use that, yesterday I could have used that excuse that I couldn't see when I got out of bed, and Steve had to help me. I couldn't send 3 sentences together. He even said to me this morning, You weren't good yesterday morning when you were on. I was like Kyle was holding the team up for us, thank God. But it's like embracing that pain and acknowledging why it's there, and that when you are pushing, it means you're making progress. And that kind of, I suppose that can also tie into that frustration piece as well. Like, I don't know about you, but I get pretty frustrated when I'm in pain, and I'm like, even just then Steve's like, let's train early. What do you want to train? I'm like, I don't know, everything hurts. So he had me
my everything hurts.
So he had me doing upside down push-ups.
Not upside down, but
it fell upside down. My head was down and my feet were up.
Yes. Okay.
So that's my definition of upside down. When my feet are higher than my head, I'm upside down.
That's close enough. Yeah.
Inverted push-ups on one leg. They were pretty hard.
Inverted push-ups on one leg. Yes.
Nice.
I did a few.
Handstand push-ups.
Handstand push-ups. So I think that's something that's really important, because a lot of people get to that pain. They're like, oh, I don't want to feel that again, or that was hard. And getting on and off of chairs today is gonna be a challenge. I'm glad we
And so-
don't have steps in our house.
The other interesting thing is that pain is really only something that's in your mind. It's not actually in your what's hurting. So it's your brain recognizing that things have been used and moved, and there's maybe a small amount of inflammation from that use, but it's not actually a problem. So the pain is not actually signifying to us that or to the brain that there's a problem. It's just trying to protect ourselves from creating a problem.
Yeah, so it's a warning. It's more of a warning signal.
Yeah, and that's I think as you start to use muscles that you might not have for a while or you haven't before, and they start to hurt. It's important to realise that the pain isn't necessarily this is broken. The pain is, hey, think about what's going on, and do you need to be careful?
Yeah, do you need to be careful? And the thing is, the pain is also there because to grow your muscle, and that it does need to separate, and it does to if it's not doing that, you're not building, you're not growing the muscle. So there's a time and a place for everything. It's the same with your brain, right? When something gets super frustrating and your brain hurts, they say your brain can, like, once it's expanded, can never come back to its original thought. So once you've got the growth and have the that it's that neuroplasticity with your growth mindset. Once you expand it, it's and it starts awakening. It's very hard to come back, and that's like you want that level of frustration. And if you don't have some level of frustration when you're learning something or pushing through something, A, you're not going to get to flow state, but B, what's the point?
And so Kotler talks about it as a challenge, the importance of the challenge. You can't, you're not going to really dive into something unless it's challenging, unless it's outside. And while mastery is a really important part to the flow, there's also the challenge part and the balance between mastery and challenge.
It's I'm at the place where we're talking about creativity, and that there is and so without that without some frustration, you won't get creativity, because you won't be linked to the challenge, right? You don't push, you don't get those edges, you don't get that, like the frustration is linked to motivation to solve the problem. Your sunrise is spectacular.
It's amazing today, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really beating the hell out of ours.
Yeah.
I've just super got to stay out of the way of it. It's so good. It's
I'm gonna get blown on. I'm like, yes. Thank goodness.
The creativity story is really interesting, and how it's all about solving things that you've got the curiosity to go, well, what if I did do this? And we talk a lot about teams, and it's super important to the motivation of our teams, the intrinsic motivators, that they've got some autonomy to actually do that stuff.
Yeah. I loved reading about, one of it's right up there with writing and arithmetic, is teaching our children how to be creative, because it's creativity that allows us to problem solve.
Yeah.
Having, like, when we think about it, to be creative, you have to be vulnerable. You need to be willing to take a chance. You need to be able to think outside the square, be able to put your own personality and identity into something, your own thought process. So if we teach our children how to be creative, and creative is like in so many different levels. You can be a creative mathematician, but the ability and the confidence to be creative is something that we need to look at for our young people. But it's something that I really loved in Brené's Call to Courage, when she said, was it in Call to Courage? Maybe it's in one of her books. Anyway, it's a Brené thing. But and she's gone in to work with organizations like in technology, and they're having a problem with their creatives not being creative. And when it boiled down to it, is because the place wasn't safe to be vulnerable and to fuck up and to fail and to put ideas forward without being ridiculed. And so the real message in that is you can't have creativity without vulnerability.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you want your team to come to you with solutions, not just problems, if you want your kids to come to you with solutions, not problems, and ideas, and think that whole think for yourself piece, if you think about it, think for yourself is mainly linked to creative thinking, problem solving, connecting dots. So how do you create a space where they feel safe to come to you with an idea and they get asked better questions rather than questioned, and rather than ridiculed or act like said with a mocking tone? How can you help them? Like, okay, great. Like, how did you come to that conclusion? Like, what made you go down that line? Rather than, where'd you get that from? Because said with, where'd you get that from? Or why would you do that? Is very different to, cool, why would you do it like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
What led you to thinking of that? And like, get them, because if we teach them to think about how the steps that got them there, then they know they can start to think about how they duplicate and replicate those sorts of patterns and thinking. So we've talked about this the other day, like ask a better question, but make sure that you check your tone and you don't come across as like, just your tone can come across judgy. And if there's any hint of judgment in your tone, it's going to shut them down.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting as well that to encourage creativity in children and even adults, the best thing you can do is allow boredom.
Yeah, force boredom.
We did that last night.
We did that last night. We did do that last
And they
night.
ended up having a great
I had
time.
a great time playing with balloons with faces drawn on them. It was wonderful.
Yeah, while we were trying to read.
Yeah,
Nice.
we were trying to read. But we haven't heard giggles like that in a long time because they've been on their bloody iPads. And when they were removed and also the TV removed, then now we have, I don't even know where those balloons came from. Now we had balloons with faces on them, which was great. But
Jamal.
it's so funny because Levi on his birthday, my nephew on his birthday, he got all sorts of shit. And when I called, Holly's like, he's just been playing with these bloody balloons all day. He's turned 10. And he turned around and he goes, oh, I would have been stoked with just the balloons. I'm like, I said, dude, when are you going to learn? Like 2 years ago, they were inside the boxes still. Like, they don't need all the shit.
No, they don't. And it's that boredom that allows them to be a bit creative and to find, what gets their mind firing on their own terms. And we spoke the other day about technology and everything, being around grabbing your attention. It's not designed to just provide information. It's designed to grab and hold your information, your attention. And things like Facebook and Instagram and all of that. If the product's free, you're the product.
Yep. How do we create boredom in our teams? That's productive boredom.
That's a tough one because really we don't want our teams to be boredom. And I think for the creativity in our teams, the best thing to do is to allow some autonomy to explore the what ifs or how can I's, and go off on that little bit of a tangent to drive their own workloads, their own ideas, their own improvements, I guess.
I think that's so if you look at, say, Google's and a lot of the Silicon Valleys, that they often give usually around a 20% of their time scope to work on their own projects. So projects that could be somewhat related to the business, obviously. But that's like how Gmail got made. Like someone spending their 20% time trying to figure this out. So like being able to give your team creative space to work on their ideas, to work together in teams that they don't normally work in,
Yeah.
And giving them those days where they can have the white space to actually think through problems or think through innovation when they're not, on a time schedule or needing to do their general duties.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know that ourselves as well. If you've got things that are burning in your mind that need to be done, that just have to be done, you can't work on the deep work and the innovative work.
No, not at all. The thing I was talking to some of my guys about yesterday is about the wide open spaces, and how that's linked to creativity, like, and why I think I'm completely drawn to when I make all of those Trello boards that I make. I can't do it in my office. Right? We know that I just can't do it sitting in my office. I need to be sitting here, so I have this table spun around, I sit on the other side looking out, and I can smash out. Like, other people look at those Trello boards and they're like, holy shit balls. But I can get one out. Like, it's all up in my head, but I can't. If I'm sitting in my office, days just won't happen, won't come. But Stephen was talking about there's a whole thing with being able to, when you're out in nature, being connected to nature, but the vast open spaces allows your brain to wander rather than be constrained. And by doing that, it gives it the space to be able to start putting together more creativity and parallels that it doesn't get when you're in a structured environment. And that is just so unbelievably true for me. And we always say, like, I'm so heavily affected by environment, but that's like, if I need to put together anything like that, that's where I do my best work.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing that just a change of location and a little bit of extra room around your physical room allows the brain to grow a little bit and do all those things.
Yeah. And for me specifically, water is a big thing for me. There's a few things as well, like I think with that being sensory, the sound, like the waves in the background kind of taking up some of the CPU, so there's like the bitch voice not running as much. And there's like the sense and everything. But even like if I need to do a message to somebody, like say I need to send a text message, or heaven forbid, I need to write my own social media post. Sitting at the back of our house, looking at the reserve. Like if I sat inside, it's like it's a block. But if I sit outside with the sun on my face, looking at the reserve, just looking at the trees, it instantly makes me more creative and the feeling I want to say is freeing.
Yeah. No walls, no constraint. So I think that's the key message for today is, don't be afraid to be bored and find yourself some open space.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of sunshine.
A little bit.
It's not really working for us, but
I actually think my camera just isn't coping with how good this sunrise is. So
your camera's not going. My brand new camera doesn't seem to. I'll need to look at the settings. I think it just likes to adjust to me rather than the background. But that's pretty special. So today, I would love everyone to enter the chat to just either notice while you go through your day, or cast your memory back. Like, really think about what environment do you feel most creative, that you are able to do the problem solving. One of the young guys I was coaching yesterday, he's like, I when I go for a walk around the block, they're all on Stephen Kotler. They've all ordered the books and on the Audible. I sell Stephen Kotler books like they're going out of fashion, I tell you. Affiliately. He said he was stuck. He goes, and he remembered that if he goes for a walk, ideas come. And so he's now, rather than sitting there, because he's a lord, rather than sitting there and just banging his head against a problem for 30, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, because he thinks it's late, like he doesn't want to. He's a young EA to a project developer, and thought it would look lazy if he got up and walked out. He
Yep.
said, he goes, literally a 5-minute lap around the building. I come back and it's done.
It's sorted.
That's just about communication now. Like we just talk to we talk to the report and let him know, like, if you see me up and go, I'm stuck and I'm going to sort it out.
It's all under control. I'm still on it.
Yeah.
And this is heaps quicker.
So really take note, guys. That's your piece for today.
Yeah, that's the homework. Work out where that space is, what that space is, and share it with us.
And share it with us. Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks, Mr.
And as
Carl.
always, I'm not even going to interrupt that picture. I'm not going to get in the way of it. So have an awesome day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.